how to analyze poetry visually. Every session with Priya Akka would be new, exciting, and adventurous, as you never know what is in store for you. I say this because some of the ideas and creative pointers which Akka untangles for every poem has been a revelation. I've personally had several light bulb moments. This way, Akka has helped me transition from a set template to thinking out of the box. And the whole process has been amazing. There were several takeaways that has shifted my understanding, choreography, and performance.
But starting from learning a language, understanding the pronunciation, how you get to understand the hidden meanings and suggested meaning, and how as a dancer we have to communicate that to the audience. And being a Bharatanatyam solo artist, how we can use the visual images to create a particular composition. And while doing that, we have to make certain artistic choices. And that can create the Satvik Abhinaya in the dancer, as well as it reaches out to the audience. So a dancer should be a visual translator and not the literary translator.
Then Priya Akka pointed out the importance of how much it is important to really flesh out or gain an insight of how and when and where the text was created, which then immediately frames it in a particular way, which then helps us embellish it in our artistic way. It was really important, and it was such a revelation for it to be really teased out in the way that she actually did it. She very organically arrived at that at the phrase which could potentially become the refrain. It was such a joy to be able to be sat there listening and watching it, of how she was teasing out everything, but then eventually when she zeroed in on it, it was like, oh, exactly, it made it made so much of sense. Of course, it speaks a lot about her experience, sensitivity, and sensibilities from which she comes from.
Priya Akka has structure. She makes sure that you know the words of the meaning, sentence meaning, the content of the story of the poem, and the deep underlying meaning of the lines of the poetry. Who is the speaker? Who is the listener? And the context of the poetry. And she never ceases to amaze me with her ease and simplicity in expressing her abhinaya. She is so down to earth and literally been like a visiting virtual guest at my house at least twice a week for the past few weeks.
Compositions, I watched in amazement at the way she was guiding her zeal, her thoughts, her ideas, and the willingness and happiness with which she was sharing with all. I also started adding layers into the.
I used to be in awe when she does certain movements very minimally, very subtly, but I was able to understand what she was trying to say. So I always wanted to do that. Me being a very loud and animated person, I wanted to taper it and dance in such a way, dance like her. Let's put it that way. I just wanted to dance like her. So there are lots of characters there. So there is the heroine, there is the Sakhi, there is a mother, then the hero comes after some time. So I was going on changing characters, and she said, no, this is very confusing. Whose point of view is this poem? So from the reaction, the audience should be able to know, and it will be more clear. The confusion won't be there. Don't use too many hands. Together, your body the sandalwood paste, no, that will go on to her. So instead of that, she just told me, this is what she did. It was all there. Why she asked particularly the word to word meanings was not to use different hand for different word. It is for us to familiarize more with the composition, to connect different ideas to each word, which would help us elaborate our narration.
You almost in this process are demystifying Abhinaya for me. You said Abhinaya is a technique and has its own grammar. To me, those words immediately meant that there is a process that can be applied to it. And it suddenly made it more accessible. So, you can go through a checklist and say, right, have I got these? And so can I understand the piece better? It was an eye-opener for me that there is an actual process. And when you broke it down so beautifully and said you need to go into the details, I think for me that has been the biggest learning point.
For people like me who attend a lot of workshops, this is a very different experience because this is a mentoring experience, and which I never expected when we started this out. But your involvement with every poem, the detailing, what your patience in watching it over and over and over again, and each time you are able to tease out something new and give it a fresh perspective, and how you can use the eye to show so many characters and you don't have to do a drama to be those characters, is something was mind blowing for me. It was I was searching for this option because I have always wondered, when we show so many different characters in Abhinaya, it gets confusing, and how do we do this? And that one sentence that you told us in the class was just so on point, and I think that is something I will try to carry forward with me. Everything you said right from the first class, that how Sangam poetry is not just a poem, but a poetry set in a landscape which we have to focus. And just that first session, I think, changed the approach for all of us. And which not only for this, I think we'll take these uh, inputs forward in every everything we do, in dance, beyond dance. The questions you ask, I write down the questions you ask us, because I can't think of those questions. You ask us so many relevant questions, and you don't, so which is again very fascinating. You haven't been teaching us or giving it to us on a platter, but you've been asking us the right questions. And once we have been asked these right questions, I think we've walked halfway in the process. What stood out for me is that Abhinaya is not black and white. The woman, she's assertive, she's confident, but she's not. There is that element of doubt, and emotions are not black and white. That again, I think, has added a lot of value. I have a new and fresh perspective to look at things, Akka. Thank you so much for what you have been doing for us. And our Zoom calls have been a very safe space, non-judgmental safe space. Your experiences and our experiences, our abilities are so different, but how you have given us the confidence to be able to talk to you like we talk to the others in the group, is also very special. And thank you for that. And that is very needed.
Here's wishing you a very happy birthday and a year full of artistic bliss and achievement.
Jannadinamidam ai priya sakhe Chandanotu te sarvada mudam Pratayamahe Pavashatayushi Ishvara sada Tvam sharakshatu Punyakarmana Kirtimarjaya Jivanam tava Bhavatu satakam.